So here we have various possibilities, and we also did the exercise. Let me go to the exercises, the quiz. I asked you to fill one blank in a table constructed. So let's see which one that actually was. I believe it was next group of exercises here, right? Was it related to exercise 26? Please let me know if
25, I believe it was.
25. Thank you. Thank you. It was 25. Great. For letting me know. So last thing, right, in the table. So
the quiz was 24.
Oh, 24. Oh, thank you. 24, 25, 26. They're pretty close anyways, but thank you for correcting. So looks like we were supposed to fill the blank right here, right? That was the quiz question. So what I just did, I looked at the Q and changed it with not Q. So instead of F, I put the opposite T. And now I need to consider my row with a P here, which is F, and not Q, which is T. And since we're dealing with a conjunction, then I'm looking at the table, which is my one above on the left side. And a place that I have to select the answer from, I just shown with an arrow. So why is that? Well, because P is F, right? It's circled here. And T is for not Q. I say here's for Q. It doesn't matter. All we care about is first is F, second is T. When we have F, second is T. Right now, we don't care for this. We have the result as F. That's the number, that's the letter right here. So the usage of the truth tables is here with us. And I'd like to do more of these exercises, of course, by maybe constructing some other truth table for another question, because this is something worth to get used to and to actually get used to the process of constructing those little tables. Let me try a problem like exercise 31 that gets a little bit more involved with such a construction. So in exercise number 31, I need to get such a thing that deals with not P. There's also not Q. And all that needs to be put in the same table. So let me try to do this. So I'm gonna try to give myself plenty of room for this. I just prepare the start of the table with both T's, and then there is a T and F. Then there's a F and T, and there's an F and F. That's the same as for all the exercises, right? So what should I do then? Well, then I'm looking at this exercise 31, and I notice not P being present, right? Also, I notice not Q being present, right? You see it? So I need to put down all of the possible ingredients that I possibly need. Okay, so there is not P already. And the other piece I have is my parentheses with P and not Q. So I put this parenthesis P and not Q in it. So that's the next thing I need. Because the last thing I need to actually get entire result, which is going to be not P and actually or, and the stuff that I just put in my previous step in here, which is P and not Q. So I guess that's the important step to stop and to look at to better see why I actually have to do it like that. So my goal with a result that we have in the exercise 31, I need to carefully produce by preparing all the steps that lead me towards it. So the steps will definitely be negations of P and Q. And that's probably the most popular part, right? So if you want to negate your P, which is this column, the very first column, I just change whatever used to be T with F's. So I put first two as F's because my first two are T's, right? And last two are T's because my last two were F's. So all I did, I just looked at the very first column and I changed everything with the opposite because I put not that. So I'm done with this first column. Next will be my second column. So what's for the second column? Or for the second column, I need not Q. So I'll be working with this Q column. And again, whatever sits in those positions change with the opposite. So the true I change with a false. False I change with a true. Again, true I change with a false. And false I change with a true. So I change those. And this is great. And now what I'm going to do is select a pair of my columns. So I accidentally got rid of this pair. So a pair of the columns, and those be P, which is a very first one right here, right? And not Q, which is the one that we just produced. So I'll be working with column number 1 and number 4. And since we're dealing with conjunction, I'll be using this table. So what was the fastest way to use this table? Well, to observe, there is only one T that gives me a result when and P and Q are both true. So when I have both of them true. So please notice that both of them true are here. The second row. Do you see that second row? Because I only care about the first column and the fourth column. I don't care right now for column number 2 and column number 3. We don't use them. So right now I just want to deal with column 1 and 4. And I see both T appear only for the second row. Everything else is false. So I put false everywhere. So it makes life easier, right? So I just utilized that definition. And again, advice is to make sure that you redo the same exact exercise on your own, maybe a little later today, and make sure that you can clearly see why we're doing it and what was actually going on in general. So next thing I need is a pair of pieces. One of them not P, which is right here, not P. And the second piece is one that we just produced right there. But now we use or. So now we use this other definition. We no longer deal with and because we're finishing up with the final step with this or, right? So I'm looking at the definition of P or Q. I notice there is only one false here when both of them are false, right? Both of them are false. So when both of them are false, so it looks like false and false will be very first entry. So that's when we have false, right? That's the only possibility for the false because others have one true, like for the next row, I have true here, or for previous row, I have true here, or for row number 1 again, I have one true. So it looks like there's only one false and true is everywhere. So that's it. I got my answer. Producing truth tables. I would say it's a good idea to actually redo this exercise from scratch. What I mean is to actually produce all these steps that I have designed on your own to make sure that you start to realize why we actually have to have all these previous columns, why we can't really get the very last one on the first place. And I guess this is one of the key parts in all of those exercises. So maybe I should do another one like that with more of these parentheses structures. So what I'm looking at right now is exercise like number 34 that has lots of little steps here. So let me also prepare a table and try to work it out. So I'm gonna put the table here with lots of steps. I hope I'm gonna be able to fit this. So P friend Q that always start the same. So T, 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 F, right? And then we also have F, T, and F, F. So that's our standard favorite little step. So now the question is, what else I need to put here to prepare? Well, when I'm looking at these parentheses, I see both not Q and not P also present. So why don't I put them here? Not Q, not P. I say, Alex, should you put not P first? Well, it doesn't really matter. It's up to you. If you like not P and then not Q, you can do it like that. Turns out you just need to have those columns because later you're going to use them inside of your parentheses. Where? Well, now I'm going with those parentheses. So first parentheses and the second parentheses, we need to prepare both of them. So first parentheses will be P and not Q. So I already have both ingredients, P, not Q, so I have both of them. And also I have not P, right? Or, oh, sorry, and Q. So that's my second ingredient, not P and Q. Good, so I have prepared both of those. And then finally, I'm going to put the thing that we actually are after, because it looks like now I need to do or, right? On both of them. It's kind of hard for me to fit it all here, so maybe I can try to put it someplace above. Let me get some room here. So the actual result that they asking us to get now will come out because I have first ingredient here, second ingredient here. So first ingredient will be that P and not Q. That's my first ingredient. Second parenthesis is not P and Q. That's the second ingredient, right? It just takes a while to write this. And then I put the or in between. So that's going to be here. I'm just not going to fit in this little position, but I wrote it above. So once I prepared all these little steps, now I can just go ahead and fill the column with not Q. So it looks like we're going to just repeat same thing we did before. So I take Q, and then not Q will be produced by negating all of those entries. So instead of T, I put F. You see, first was T, Q. So I put F. Then instead of F, I put T, right? So if I put T, change was the opposite. Okay, keep going. T turns into F, and F turns into T. So I'm done with this first little column. So I'm going for the second one. I'm going for not P. not P, which comes out from here. So I care about only my first column right now, right? First column. And then I'm gonna change all the T's with F's and vice versa. So pair of T's on the first two positions will change with pair of F's. And then pair of F's will change with pair of T's. Just like that. So I took care of my not P. So now I'm going to the next place. Now I'm going to use table on the left. Let me clear it. It just got so messed up. Repair this a little bit. This is F, right? Okay, now it's all ready to go with. So now I'm going to be using this table for the next step. And what I know about this table, that it gives me only one T, right? Only when everything is T. So what does everything mean? It means that I have to use this first column and the column number 3, right? So this 2 columns is all I care about. And I can see the only case when both are T is in the row number 2. Do you see that? First column has T, third column has T. That's both T's and the row number 2. Everywhere else I have at least one F. So everything else will be false. False here, as well as here. It looks like table with end is one of the favorites. All you care about is just the case when both of them are T, and then everything else you fill with F's. And very similarly, I'm going to be now looking at the other columns at the not P, which is right here. Not P, do you see what I'm doing? I'm doing that one, second underline in red. It has not P or Q, and Q is right here. See, whatever the columns I need, I try to highlight them in red. So it looks like that now I have only one case when they both are true on the line number 3, right? Third row has both T's, so that's where I get T. I say, Alex, what about this F? We don't care for this. We just care for row number 2 and row number 4. Just the ones that are highlighted, because we're preparing right now our table. So that's the only T. Do you see that nothing else has 2 T's? First has T and second, so first row has T and F. Second row has F and F. The last row has F and T. So they both, all of them will give us F's. So we have prepared for the very last and the most important step here, the actual answer, because all that is just a preparation to give the answer. So let me give that answer. Now it's time. So it looks like now what I'm going to do is look at the OR thing, and the OR is going to be my table right above, P or Q. And I don't care what P, Q, what those letters stand for. I just care for OR. I just care to take a disjunction of what? Well, looks like the ingredients are here, my last 2 columns. So now I'm looking at the last 2 columns, and what I notice that F appears only when both of them are F, right? And please notice that both of them are F appear here more than once. How about that? Both of them are F are here, right? 2 F's. So you put F, and both of them are F are here, right? The last one, 2 F's. Okay, And everything before is true, T and also T. So I just produced another answer in here. I would say that one needs to get a piece of paper and actually produce this table and to actually try to fill it on your own. And then you will get that little video from me, the recording for the lecture. So you will be able to see how I produced it, this result, so you can compare. But advice is try to do this on your own, because the place that you are missing, the place where you get stuck, you will actually be able to discover when you start to produce the whole thing yourself. Because when you just watch me or some tutor doing this for you, you may not really see what you're actually missing in here. So that's important that you actually get a piece of paper, pen, and try this yourself. So this story does not end. There is more in here, but now they also coming up with a third quantifier. Look at this. They have for the next page on the top 3 letters, R, P, and a Q. Third one, R. So let me, maybe I'll copy this exercise 39. So it's R and not P or not Q, right? Not Q. I wrote not such a way it's hard to understand, so let me rewrite. So not Q. Okay, that's better. So let me show you how they deal with 3 letters, because that's very different compared to what we were dealing with so far. Let me see how they give you this table, and then we'll give a little bit of intuition into what's going on. Please notice when you have 3 quantifiers in the example that I just opened, PQR. The table is quite big. So what is really going on here? Why is it so big? Well, it turns out that if you have just P and Q, then P could be either true or false, right? Then Q could be either true or false here, as well as here. You see? But when the third one comes into play, then it also could be either true or false here, either true or false here. See, the branches are doubling. So that's how you get 8 of those possibilities. So TF here, here, and also here. And that's exactly what they tried to describe in this table. In fact, they didn't try this successfully, did this. So if you follow through branches along this little tree diagram that I produced up here, so the first branch will deal with 3 T's, and it's right there. The next branch is 2 T's and F, that's right there. You see there are 8 possibilities, and they're all listed. The very, very last one is the one with all of the F's, and that's the last one here. So it turns out it's standard for 3, and you don't have to memorize this. You could just always look at this page and simply copy this. But, well, let me produce it for the exercise that we are supposed to do for that exercise that I just tried to copy, which is up there. The one that appears. So I'm gonna prepare a table here with P, Q, R. So how this is supposed to be prepared? Well, turns out that P could be true for 4 possibilities. Please notice that there's like a half of a table that deals with P being true, and another half of the table that deals with P being false. So like 4 and 4. And now I just copy TT, TF was supposed to be TF, not some of that. So TT, TF, FT, and FF. So that's my case with T being in the first place. And then same thing once again, TT, TF, FT, and FF. So that's the way these tables should be produced. So with three statements. And then when I'm looking at these statements, it looks like that I need to have not P, not Q. So let me prepare this, not P. And then all the way down, I get not Q, right? So it is a little bit time consuming to produce, but the ideas are exactly the same. It's just a little bit more tedious. Then what else I need to have to prepare for my final result? Well, looks like I need to also have here parentheses, right? This parentheses that is not being present. So this parentheses with a P, oh, sorry, R. Let me put it in red so it's going to be matching. R and not P. And finally, whatever they want us to have, this parentheses with R and not P, and then we put or not Q. So these will be little steps that I need to go through. And now I'm gonna, well, just go through those. Just the way we used to do before. I have P to care about because now I need not P. Okay, so whatever I see in the P column, I change with F. So please notice that first 4 will be F's because in the P column, first 4s are T's, right? So I change them with F's. And the last 4 will be T's because in my first column, last 4 are F's. So I always change with the opposite. When we get a negation, we get not that letter. So it's standard. Now, same thing I do with a Q. I just need to be careful because this Q is my second column. So I look at the second column and I see it goes 2, 2. So it just changes. So there are 2 T's, so I put 2 F's. The next, I have 2 F's, so I put 2 T's. Right, so I'm looking at the second column. And again, there are 2 T's, I put 2 F's. And finally, I have 2 F's, so I change them with 2 T's. So this is my way to do this. You can do it one at a time, but the point of story, you want to make sure that you produce the column that is needed. And of course, that you are looking at the correct places. So correct places now will be to look at 2 columns because we have 1 column with R, so it'll be column here, and not P. So we're looking at these 2 columns. We're also using the definition of and, which is conjunction, because it's conjunction, right? And just like we did in the previous exercise, I care for the case when I get a T, because it looks like this conjunction is T only here, when everything is T. So I'm gonna be looking at these columns and ask myself, Alex, when you have both of them as T's? Well, I see first encounter here. So the T will go here, right? First encounter. And I see another one here. T here, T here. So the result is T. Everything else is false because we don't have both T's. Again, it's in the column marked R and not P. So I put F's everywhere. So you don't really have to look at these too hard. You just look at this carefully, and main thing is look at the right spots, and you put all of them F's. And now I'm going to finish up with this. So please notice, once this table is produced, we don't really care if we deal with PQR or we just deal with P and Q. We just look at pair of T's. What do they give us? Do they give us F or they give us what? Depending on the definition, right? So where am I going to look at now? Well, looks like this parentheses, which is right here. So that'd be the column. And the one before previous, not Q. Okay, so I'm looking at these two. And now we're using OR, which is right here, OR. Okay, so if that's OR, so I'm looking at this particular place, right? So what does it tell me? Well, it tells me that if I have both F's, like we have here, the result is F, right? Here's the result, F. And so forth. Both F's result is again F. TF, it's T. Why is that? Because TF is right here. First is T, second is F. The result is T. Again, TF, another T. Good. So next will be FT. First is F. You see it? Second is T. So the result is T. Okay, great. Then what? Then I get both F's. Both F's is what I just saw already. The result is F. Okay. Next, I look at both T's, right? T here, T here. So what's the result? When both are T's, result is T. And a question for you for a little quiz for today. What do you put here? Is it T or F? So as usual, please just put this in the Zoom chat for the answer.